Ever walked into the kitchen and forgotten what you went in for? Or seen someone you know and blanked on their name, even though you just talked yesterday? People say it's normal to be forgetful when you're old, but forgetting us isn't always just a normal thing. After 60, the brain starts to whisper. It doesn't ache, it doesn't throb, it isn't swollen like a limb. But if you listen closely, you'll hear it trying to speak up. A little repetition, a little disorientation, a subtle shift in personality that even you can't seem to understand why. I used to blame it on insomnia, on getting older, on stress. But then I saw a doctor and I realized the brain doesn't just get old, it sends out signals, but we usually ignore them. And if we keep ignoring them, those little signs will only grow until one day you can't remember your own child's name. Or worse, you forget who you are. This video isn't meant to scare you. It's a reminder. If you want a long life, protect your brain first. In this video, I'm sharing 5 early warning signs of memory decline, signals you really shouldn't ignore. This isn't about fear, it's about holding on to the years of clarity, of love, of still being you. So let's get started. The very first sign, forgetting relatives' names. When a familiar name suddenly feels foreign, that isn't normal. I remember the first time I looked at my grandson and his name just vanished. The face was so familiar, but the name, something that should be etched in my heart, just slipped right through my fingers. I laughed it off, saying, "Hey there, sweetie, it's Grandma." But inside, I was terrified, truly terrified. We all know that older people can be forgetful, but when you start forgetting the names of family, of old friends, or you struggle to name someone in your own household, that's no longer just normal aging. That's your brain sending out a cry for help. According to the Alzheimer's Association, memory loss involving familiar information, especially the names of relatives, friends, and neighbors, is one of the earliest and most reliable warning signs of dementia. If left unchecked, these small memory lapses will slowly turn into vast holes in your memory. I once knew Mr. Charles, an older gentleman who lived near me. One day he walked out his door, right past his grandson at the gate without saying hello. When his daughter asked why, he just said, "I thought it was the neighbor's kid." That was the moment his family realized this wasn't just a senior moment. This was something else. His brain was beginning to fail. If you're currently struggling with names, needing photos to place a relative, or often mixing up your children's and grandchildren's names, please, don't stay quiet. Many people put off seeing a doctor, afraid of a diagnosis. But here's the truth. The earlier you catch it, the better your chances are for intervention and a healthy life. Today, science offers many ways to help slow the brain's decline. From memory training and proper diet to engaging in stimulating activities, it can all start from the moment you dare to face the forgetting. If you love your children and grandchildren, hold on to every name. Don't let a day come when you look at that familiar face and can't say their name. Not because you've stopped loving them, but because your brain is no longer able to remember. Get checked as soon as you start forgetting, because holding on to their names is also how you hold on to yourself. The second sign, repeating the same story. When you tell and retell an old story, perhaps that's the brain's way of sounding an alarm. I used to think I've probably told this before, but then I would tell it again, once, then twice, until my daughter gently said, "Mom, you already told me that story." I laughed it off, replying, "It's so good, I had to tell it again." But inside, I started to worry. Older people often retell old stories. That's not unusual. But if you begin telling the exact same story multiple times a day to the same person and don't remember you've already told it, that could be an early sign of dementia. According to the Mayo Clinic, repeating the same story, question, or comment in a short time is one of the early telltale signs of Alzheimer's, when the brain region controlling short-term memory begins to weaken. I once spoke with a friend named Mr. Lewis. Every morning he would tell me about the time he took the wrong bus, with the same details, the same delivery. At first I thought he was just being chatty, but then by the 7th time in 2 weeks, I knew. He didn't remember he had told me. When his son took him to a doctor, The results showed his brain's recent memory area had begun to decline. If you or a loved one has started this habit, please don't just brush it off as old age. Ask gently, I think I've heard this one, Mom. Do you remember us talking about it yesterday? If you hesitate, don't feel bad. That's the time to get your brain health checked, not out of panic, but out of care for yourself. Many older people feel ashamed when they're told they're repeating themselves. But please remember that is not your fault. It is the brain's way of signaling that it needs help, care, and protection. And if detected early, you can absolutely hold on to your lucidity longer through brain exercises, proper nutrition, and support from your family. Think of each repeated story as a note from your memory. I am getting weaker. Can you hear me? Listening early is the best way to live longer with all of your memories intact, though. The third sign, getting disoriented inside your home. When your own familiar house starts to feel like a maze, that's more than just being absent-minded. One afternoon, I walked into the kitchen for a spoon, like always. But when I got there, I just froze. Looking around, I quietly wondered, what did I come in here for? It wasn't the first time, and after it happened a few times, I started to feel scared. Disorientation isn't just getting lost in the city. For someone over 60, getting lost in your own home, forgetting the way to the bathroom, not remembering where the light switch is, or opening the wrong cabinet repeatedly are the first warnings of cognitive decline. According to the Alzheimer's Association, people in the early stages of dementia may feel confused by familiar spaces, especially when the environment changes slightly, like after rearranging furniture or moving objects. They don't just forget, they truly lose connection with how the brain processes spatial information. I remember a woman, Mrs. Alice from the next neighborhood. One night, a neighbor found her wandering in her yard. When her daughter asked, she said, I thought this was the way to the kitchen. But she was in her backyard, not cold, not scared, just disoriented. After that, her family finally took her for an evaluation. If you have ever stood in your house and forgot where you were going, or held an item and forgot what to do with it, please do not brush it aside. These seemingly small moments might be your brain telling you its internal GPS is starting to fail. The best thing is to let a specialist assess you with simple cognitive tests. And don't be afraid to talk to your kids, because sometimes just one honest conversation can save you years of clarity down the road. Home is your safest place. But when you start getting lost inside it, you need to listen closely to that inner voice. A long life isn't just about the years, but about living with awareness, knowing every room and every memory is still there with you. Next is the fourth sign, no longer interested in old hobbies. When you no longer find joy in what you once loved, that's a message from deep inside. I used to love my flowers. Every morning I'd be in the garden watering, cutting a few stems for the kitchen, placing them in a small vase by the window. Every week, I'd go to the market to pick out a new plant. And yet, there was a time I let my garden go. I didn't care to tend it, didn't care to look. I told myself it was just a passing phase. But then I realized something inside me was quietly fading away. At 60 and older, losing interest in things you once cherished, like cooking, reading, music, or gardening, isn't just a symptom of fatigue or a change of mood. It can be an early sign of dementia, when the brain stops sending the same reward signals and feelings of happiness it used to. According to the Cleveland Clinic, losing interest in daily activities, a condition known as anhedonia, is a common early symptom of neurodegenerative diseases. A person may become apathetic, unenthusiastic, and more withdrawn than usual. I have a friend, Mr. Marvin, who used to adore watercolor painting. Every corner of his home was a world of color. But then that his wife told me, he packed away his paints, said he just didn't know what to paint anymore. Not long after, he was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. Not everyone who loses interest has a disease, but if the apathy is subtle, prolonged, and isn't tied to a major life event, it's a signal worth noting. Especially if you find yourself not wanting to go out, not calling friends, not wanting to do the things that once made you feel truly alive. The answer isn't to force yourself to be happy again. It's to gently listen to your inner changes and talk to a doctor or a loved one when you feel different. Sometimes a small talk is all it takes to get you back into the rhythm of life. If you ever loved doing something, don't let it slip away for no reason. Hold on to that hobby, not to feel young again, but to keep your brain connected to the living world around you. Because a long life is one where you can still find true joy each day. And the final sign is sudden changes in personality. If you suddenly become easily angered, it's not always just a mood swing. I've always been a patient person. Whatever my grandkids said, I would answer gently. But then, for a while, I found myself getting irritable, easily annoyed over a misplaced remote control or a glass in the wrong cabinet. I didn't understand why. I just felt something inside me was changing. A change in personality isn't always just a case of getting grumpy with age. For someone over 60, sudden emotional shifts from persistent sadness to baseless anger to withdrawing from conversations you once enjoyed can be an early sign of declining brain function. According to the Alzheimer's Association, unexplained changes in personality or behavior, like becoming suspicious, confused, or even depressed, are a warning sign of the early stages of dementia. I remember a lady in my walking group. Her name was Ruth. She was always cheerful and telling jokes. But in recent months, she started avoiding everyone. If someone got too close, she would snap, "Leave me alone." Her daughter thought she was mad at someone, but after a doctor's visit, they learned she was being affected by degeneration in the brain's emotional control center. So when you notice yourself changing or a loved one becoming hard to understand, please don't stay silent or be critical. Don't tell yourself it's just stress or I'm just unhappy, because sometimes that might be the brain crying out and no one is listening. And if detected early, you can absolutely maintain psychological stability with proven scientific methods, from memory training, light exercise, and nutritional changes to talk therapy. A long life isn't just about adding years. It's about keeping your personality, your very self, intact, so that every day you are still you. And sometimes a small change in your mood is the biggest signal that needs to be heard right away. Memory isn't just about numbers. It's the names we hold so dear. It's the smell of a familiar meal, the sound of a grandchild's laughter in the kitchen. It's the memory we keep to know who we are. Memory loss doesn't happen in one day. It arrives piece by piece, in small moments of forgetting. Each time we stand in a room and don't remember what we came for, and if we aren't paying attention, we can lose ourselves without ever realizing it. But you know what? If it is found early, if you care at the right time, you can hold on to so very much. Not everything, but enough to keep living a life with meaning, with connection, and with yourself in it. Don't be afraid to tell your kids, "Lately I've been forgetting things." Don't hide that you sometimes mix up the time or that you repeat a story. That isn't weakness, it's courage. The courage to live a long, lucid, and truthful life. If this video made you stop and think, maybe share it. Someone you know might be hiding what you just heard, and they need to know they're not alone. Thank you for watching until the end. Wishing you a peaceful day and a memory that holds on to everything you love.